Here now, Bill McGurn, Wall Street Journal columnist and a Fox contributor. Bill, good to see you. This sounds like a disaster of dependency to me. Your reaction to this kind of plan?
Well, I have two reactions. One is a lot of free market economists have floated the idea of a basic income, but their idea is usually to abolish all the welfare programs and give people one check instead, save money on the bureaucracy and so forth. This sounds just like extra money that they're giving. The other thing I think is that you have to look at the specific problem of homelessness. Is the problem really a lack of money? A lot of people have mental illness. A lot of people had drug problems. So I'm not sure that money is the one answer for everyone. Yes, there are some families just down in their luck and they could use some cash. But I think the problem is deeper than that.
Bill, you look at a program like this, and throughout the pandemic, you've seen this again and again. There's the detachment of money given by the government and work. And I think most people say it doesn't make sense to hand checks to people when there's no incentive or there's no requirement to find a way to earn a paycheck on their own. It seems like we, as a country, we're moving in the direction of simply handing out cash with no strings attached. And that seems to me like just a recipe for an economy that cannot work over the long term, Bill.
Yeah, I think, again, the defenders would say, in theory, that the checks that they give out don't punish work. A lot of other things in the past have punished someone getting a job or moving up on the income scale. But again, I think the problem here is bigger. I don't think money is a big problem for most homeless. Look at the encampments. I'm not familiar with Denver, but in California and New York, can you really look at that and say what they're lacking is income? The problems are much deeper. And just to pretend to do this, again, the real serious people who are talking about basic income want to do it as a reform of welfare, to get rid of all these bureaucracies and all these competing programs. But this is just one more program on top of those.
Yeah, it all sounds nice in theory, but of course it's practice that matters, and that's where these things just seem to fail. Speaking of work, the U.S. return to office rates, people going back to the office, are hitting a pandemic high. Companies trying to bring employees back, Bill. But I got to tell you, the office use rate still, even though it's a high since the pandemic, is only 47.5%.
Right.
So it's nice that we're hitting these highs. Some people going back, but it's not even half of office space. That suggests to me, Bill, that we don't have a labor market that's working. We have one that's still fundamentally broken. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, I personally like going into the office. I haven't been doing it because I'm recovering from a stroke and the commute is so long. But I think it's never going to go back to what it was. Not because there's one model or the other, but some people and some companies have found you can work at home and get the job done. Some places you can't do that. And I think some employers suspect they're not getting a full day's work out of people that are home. And they're probably right. So we're going to see, as long as people can do what they want to do, they're going to do it. But if the market tightens up, right now there's a huge demand for labor, and that benefits workers. They can make their own terms. If that changes, I think employers can make greater demands on them.
Yeah, it's a tight labor market now. Employees are making demands, but that's going to change. And if the habit you've cultivated over this time has been the quiet quitting or only doing the minimal that you have to, good luck when the labor market changes. And that just seems to be the real problem right now. Bill, we've got to leave it there. Always good to see you. Bill McGurn, thanks for being with us.
Okay, thanks, Brian.